Spotify is developing a reputation for its advertising campaigns, sometimes tongue-in-cheek, often irreverent, and the bulk of it's developed in-house.
We do things a little bit differently, and I like to think that we've innovated in terms of what an in-house creative team can achieve. So all of our marketing should feel like it's one fan talking to another, and that's kind of really key to us. We obviously have become something of a cultural authority, but we don't think of ourselves that way. There's a Swedish ethos and a humbleness to what we do. We're just another fan. That's why we do what we do. So we're not afraid to make an inside joke about an artist that only their fans will get, because ultimately if someone walks past and doesn't get it, we're not talking to them. And that's kind of that passion and that sort of knowledge and respect for culture should come through and unite all of the work.
Indeed, all of the work is focused on Spotify's users and how they're using the service. It means creativity and data is inextricably linked.
When I started hearing about data many years ago in my career as a creative, my first instinct was wariness. Like, this sounds a little bit scary. This sounds like the mathematicians coming in trying to tell us how to be creatives. And I've now gone a complete 180, because all it's really doing is illuminating insights and allowing you to tell stories. And that's kind of our job, and we're lucky to be sitting on data about how people consume and love culture, which is a really wonderful story to be able to tell. You have to dig in and ask the questions. So you might dig in and say, was there somebody that streamed Sorry an unusual amount of time on Valentine's Day? You ask that question and then you feed that to the data scientists, and then they drill in and find if that was actually a trend and if there was somebody. And then once you find that person and you've got the permission, you can then sort of tell that story. And sometimes, if you work closely with your media department, you can tell that story in a way that celebrates somebody in that area.
And that happens all over the world with hyperlocal billboard campaigns, which might appear to be a strange way for a tech company to advertise.
In the end of 2015, we had our end-of-year website, and consumer marketing came to me and they said, oh, we've booked 10 billboards to celebrate the website in Manhattan. And I was like, oh, well, what are we going to do with them? So we had to sit down and we thought, well, why don't we find out neighbourhood by neighbourhood which artists trended the most? And we were doing Williamsburg, so Williamsburg is hipster central. You know, we were expecting to see Tame Impala or, I don't know, an artist maybe like Lorde who was going mainstream. And we dug in, and the number one song that trended unusually in that area was Sorry by Justin Bieber. So we took a big billboard by the side of the water there and said, sorry, not sorry, Williamsburg, Bieber's hit trended highest in this area. And we're actually able to measure that people exposed to that ad streamed 10% more in the coming weeks. So we saw business results, a huge amount of earned media and a lift for the brand. And because we are a sort of nimble company that's happy to bet on successes, I think the following December we booked something like 6,000 out-of-home placements globally and just followed through on that strategy. And time and again we've found it's a really effective media for us. And if you will be a bold brand, and if you're happy to put out messaging there that is brand level and is provocative, is interesting, you'll find it's actually social media, because people now have phones and they can take photos. Our 2016 campaign was shared online over 600,000 times. And that's people taking photos of billboards and sharing them.
Many of Spotify's adverts have the potential to identify individual users. Getting users' stories into ad campaigns brings them closer to the brand.
When we do our out-of-home, we choose not to really talk about ourselves. We talk about our fans and the listeners on our platform, and we tell their stories, because the way we think about it, like when we have all of that to tell, how weird just to, talk about how much it costs to subscribe to us, or the features you can get, or how many songs you've got. I mean, that person at a party is boring. The interesting person is someone who's curious about the world and wants to talk about others. And people like to be celebrated, and they like to think that a brand that they love, like Spotify, that they use daily, also values them and the way that they listen. Last year we were thinking about the huge year that Ed Sheeran had, and we wanted to find a way to celebrate him, but in a unique way. So we looked into playlists that had a lot of Ed Sheeran songs on them. And one of the ones we discovered was called an I Love Gingers playlist that had, I think, over 20 Ed Sheeran songs on it. So then we contacted and found out it was a young woman in Australia, actually, who created the playlist. And it was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Is this actually going to be on a billboard? And we're like, it may well be. Yeah, that's kind of what we're planning. And then the next question was, will Ed see it? And we were like, we can pretty much guarantee Ed's going to see it. And surely enough, we were able to get a photo with him next to the billboard at an event that he did and send that back to her. And she was kind of like, best day of my life.
With music being a major passion point for consumers, Spotify's marketers have a near limitless well of opportunity to be creative.
We are telling the story of 1 million of the most creative people in the world, that being musical artists. We are at the intersection of tech and culture at a time when tech is redefining the world. And then we have 180 million music lovers who are creatively making playlists, consuming culture. If you're at the intersection of all of that, on a brand that's really being formed day by day and coming to life, you shouldn't have to drive creativity, it comes naturally.
Hello, I'm James Wright. Thanks for watching Marketing Media Money. To check out more online videos, just click on the boxes and don't forget to subscribe to the CNBC Life channel at the bottom of the screen.